Right now at 5, a day after the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, police continue a massive manhunt for his killer. And how many are remembering the victims of 9/11 24 years later by giving back to their community? Plus, it is game night in Wisconsin, and we'll be live at Lambeau Field with reports from Andrew Banstra as the Packers host the Commanders. You're watching News 3 Now at 5, and thanks for joining us. I'm Eric Franke. Susan is off tonight, and right now the manhunt continues for the person who murdered conservative activist Charlie Kirk yesterday. The 31-year-old died after being shot while speaking to a large group on the campus at Utah Valley University. The FBI says it recovered what it believes to be the shooter's weapon, along with, quote, good video evidence as they work to track down the suspected gunman. Michael Yoshida has the very latest on the search.
The FBI releasing photos of a person of interest in connection with the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk.
We will not stand for what happened yesterday. We are exhausting every lead.
Wednesday's deadly shooting happened while the Trump ally and conservative activist was speaking to a large crowd on the campus of Utah Valley University.
We didn't know that this was a single shot event. There's been so many mass shootings. Like, that was what was going through my head is what's going to happen next after that shot.
The 31-year-old Kirk was rushed to the hospital where he later died.
Knowing that they are doing everything that they can to find the person responsible is reassuring.
Cell phone video from the event shows what appears to be an individual in dark clothing on a rooftop of one of the school's buildings. Investigators saying they have surveillance video showing the suspected gunman.
We have tracked his movements onto the campus, through the stairwells, up to the roof, across the roof to a shooting location.
After firing the deadly shot, investigators say the gunman jumped off the building and fled into a nearby neighborhood.
We have recovered what we believe is the weapon that was used in yesterday's shooting. It is a high-powered bolt-action rifle.
The FBI is analyzing the weapon, including, according to CNN sources, cultural phrases written on the rifle and ammunition. In Washington, Michael Yoshida.
The FBI also says it recovered footwear impressions and a palm print along with a screwdriver that authorities say may have helped the shooter take apart that rifle. They're offering a reward of up to $100,000 for information leading to the identification and arrest of the person responsible. Now, Charlie Kirk's death has sparked a lot of controversy online, prompting state politicians to speak out. Our Tanisha Shaw has more on the local response.
Brady and Sarah, this morning, Governor Tony Evers spoke out about Charlie Kirk's assassination during a 9/11 event in Stoughton this morning.
It would be great if we could find some way to control firearms, but that's always something that's very, very difficult. So in the meantime, we're really sad and hopeful that as a country we can come together and end these situations.
When asked if the deadly shooting prompts Evers to want more security, he stated that security is always a concern for him and his team. Hours later, State Assembly Speaker Robin Vos spoke about Charlie Kirk and had a moment of silence to remember him during Thursday's session.
We must, as Americans, speak with each other. The way Charlie did. The way Charlie did. And we need prayers for the country which is torn apart under attack from within, prayers for our own souls that we hold ourselves accountable for the way we treat others.
I'll have more tonight at 6. Reporting in studio, Tanisha Shaw, News 3 Now.
Officials are sharing more information about a shooting yesterday at a high school in suburban Denver. Authorities say students at Evergreen High School scrambled when 16-year-old Desmond Holley started shooting with a revolver, wounding 2 peers before killing himself. Hundreds of law enforcement officers across the Denver metro area raced to the scene to help, while officials set up a reunification center for parents at another school. Law enforcement praised school staff for acting quickly to lock down classrooms.
He would fire and reload, fire and reload, fire and reload. This went on and on. And as he did that, he tried to find new targets. And he came up against a roadblock on many of those doors. He couldn't get to those kids.
Now, as for a motive, authorities say Holley was, quote, radicalized by an extremist network. Classes at Evergreen High School are canceled both today and tomorrow. Meanwhile, multiple historically black colleges and universities in several states were put on lockdown today due to threats. Virginia State University in Ettrick, Virginia, had to abruptly close due to a campus threat. VSU did not elaborate on what kind of threat it was. However, the school said no injuries were reported. Students that live on campus were told to remain indoors Hampton University also closed due to a potential threat. Several other HBCUs were put on lockdown due to potential threats. We'll keep you up to date with the latest information on both of those stories. Simply download the Channel 3000 News app by searching Channel 3000 wherever you get your apps. Well, next at 5, a foggy start to the day, but should we expect any more fog before the weekend? Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington joins us now. He's out on the patio with the answer.
Yes, Eric, no fog out here yet, but there will be fog again tonight to answer that question. It's gorgeous out here. We burned off the fog that we had this morning, made for a warm and a partly sunny day. But let's take a look and see that fog and how it's going to manifest as we go into tonight. So as we go into Friday morning, 5:30 in the morning, visibility is widespread across southern Wisconsin, locally dense fog in some areas. Most visibility is between 1 and 2 miles. But again, there are going to be those river valleys, those ravines, those low-lying areas that briefly will sneak on down. Look at Watertown at 7 o'clock in the morning, that visibility getting down to 0. I think some of the more dense fog is going to be from Madison areas to the east. And as we move towards 9 o'clock, that fog pushes off towards the east, towards Lake Michigan, and then it all burns off here by the time we get to the early afternoon hours on Friday. Right now, 77 in Madison, 75 in Viroqua, 79 in Janesville. Trying to see if there's an 80 out there, but oh, there is. There's one in Prairie du Chien. Here in Dane County, we've got 77s and 78s. It's a nice summer-like, late summer-like afternoon across the area, and those temperatures dipping down through the 60s into the 50s with that fog again developing overnight. We do have other information we got to talk about, and the 3 things you need to know. It's dodging those showers and possible thunderstorms this weekend. When's the best chance? I'll let you know when I come back.
Sounds good, Alex. Thank you. The Grant County Sheriff's Office investigating the death of a woman in the town of Muscoda. Last night, a neighbor called dispatch for a welfare check, telling authorities the woman might be unconscious in her driveway. When deputies arrived, they found the woman dead. Officials say there's no immediate threat or danger to the public. Anyone with any information related to the death is asked to contact the Sheriff's Office or the Grant County Crime Stoppers. And a 91-year-old is in the hospital after being hit by a vehicle in Janesville. The crash happened this morning near the intersection of West Delavan Drive at South Jackson. Police say a vehicle leaving a business parking lot hit the 91-year-old. The victim was taken to a hospital, later flown by MedFlight to UW Hospital in Madison. Their injuries are being called life-threatening. No charges have been filed. An investigation is ongoing. Today marks 24 years since the deadly September 11th terror attacks that killed nearly 3,000 people and forever changed the nation. At the World Trade Center site, the somber traditions commemorating the tragedy have become familiar with one goal in mind: to honor the victims of the largest terror attack on American soil. Relatives of the victims read their loved ones' names out loud and described how the tragedy continues to impact their lives.
And my father, Robert David Puglisi, he has 2 grandsons now in California named Vincent and Alexander, and it's not fair that he didn't get to meet them, and we miss him.
At the Pentagon, President Trump took part in a commemoration honoring the 184 people killed there, and a wreath was laid in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, in memory of the passengers and crew killed aboard United Flight 93. And here in Wisconsin, members of Governor Tony Evers' administration came together to honor the lives lost on 9/11. At Lake Kagonza State Park in Stoughton, they came together for acts of service. The governor declared a state day of service in remembrance to honor those who died that day.
By coming together today, we show that we can honor the past by building a brighter future. We roll up our sleeves today, whether it's to help clean, plant, or restore. We're creating an amazing outdoor recreation opportunity for our neighbors, for our families, and for generations to come. No act of service is too small, and when we work together, the impact can be extraordinary.
A list of potential volunteer opportunities, including virtual options, can be found on the Volunteer Wisconsin website. And despite the passing decades, first responders and survivors are still being impacted by 9/11 related health conditions. The CDC says an estimated 400,000 people were exposed to toxins in the days and even months after the attacks. Exposure to those hazards has been linked to short and long-term health conditions, with the most reported health condition, many types of cancer.
Over 50,000 cancers have been linked to exposures at ground zero, an increase of 143% over the past 5 years.
The World Trade Center Health Program helps provide medical monitoring and treatment for conditions certified as being linked to exposures from the 9/11 attacks, giving no-cost health care for those who are eligible. The Henry Vila Zoo is mourning the deaths of 2 of its animals. The zoo announcing that Franklin the meerkat was euthanized on August 29th following a quick decline in health. He was 14 years old. Now, the average life expectancy of a meerkat in the wild is between 6 and 8 years old. And then on Monday, Slothra, a Hoffman's two-toed sloth, died of natural causes. She was 44 years old, one of the oldest of her species at any AZA-accredited zoo in the world. Now, the average life expectancy for a wild Hoffman sloth is just 12 to 20 years old. In a zoo setting, it is 32. Well, the Packers are preparing to face off against the Washington Commanders tonight, a 7:15 kick on Amazon Prime. For a preview, we go live to Lambeau Field, where sports director Andrew Banstra gives us a preview. Andrew?
The energy out here outside of Lambeau Field is palpable, as it should be. The traffic on our way up from Madison was as bad as I've ever seen it, which is a good thing for the Packers. That means Lambeau is going to be loud tonight, and it'll need to be considering the team they're playing. A really good Commanders squad who made the playoffs last year. The Packers do, however, have a couple of things working to their advantage. The first being it's a whiteout at Lambeau tonight. They're calling it a winter warning despite the fantastic weather that we have going on. But that's not the only warning we've seen from this Green Bay group so far in this young season. In week 1 against the Lions, they beat them 27-13 and did it handily, putting a warning out for the rest of the league that this year's Packer group is not to be messed with. Coming up later at 5, we'll tell you one of the biggest reasons why this team is just going to be that good this year. Micah Parsons. We'll have much more on him and the rest of this Packers team leading up to kickoff later on tonight. For now at Lambeau Field, Andrew Banstra, News 3 Sports.
All right, Andrew, thank you very much. Looking forward to this one. And still to come at 5, Alex tells us about our rain chances as we inch closer to the weekend. And the latest consumer price index shows inflation is once again on the rise. This as new reports find U.S. job growth is also growing weaker. Massive gains, though, for the Dow Jones Industrial Average on Wall Street today, up more than 617 points. The Nasdaq jumps 157 points. S&P adds 55. We'll be right back.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
Consumers are feeling the pinch. The latest government data shows inflation rose in August, about in line with expectations, but weekly jobless claims jumped too. Kelly O'Grady has the details from the New York Stock Exchange.
The basic necessities are costing Americans more. The latest consumer price index out Thursday shows inflation accelerated last month, rising 2.9% annually. That's up from 2.7% the previous month, the biggest jump since January.
Obviously, as we get towards 3%, people are feeling the pinch.
Price pressures are showing up most notably in shelter and food costs, up 0.4% and 0.5% respectively in August. Personal chef Ari Kramer says farmers markets may offer the cheapest options.
Your base grocery store is, I'd say, anywhere from 10 to 25% more expensive per item.
Tariffs are weighing on prices for items like furniture, apparel, and motor vehicle parts. Many are imported from elsewhere, and experts say artificial intelligence is zapping your electricity bill.
All these companies pouring billions of dollars creating the electricity needed to deliver AI to us is causing our own bills to rise.
You can also expect more tricks than treats this Halloween.
The overall category of candy up by more than 8% year over year. I suspect that's going to head towards 10% as we get closer to Halloween.
And in a continuing sign of a softening labor market, new jobless claims last week rose to their highest level in almost 4 years.
The Federal Reserve will try to balance the seesaw between labor and inflation when it meets next week, but all signs are pointing to that long-expected benchmark interest rate cut.
Well, the weekend just about here. Now, we know it's going to be toasty, but what about some showers, Alex?
We could be dodging a couple of showers, especially during the morning hours on Saturday. The best chance for rain right now over the course of the next couple of days is going to be Friday night. And that could linger into Saturday. If it does linger into Saturday, that high of 85 might be a bit optimistic. We might have to dip that down because, as I always say, if those morning showers and storms and clouds can't clear out, that sun can't heat up the ground, and that can't heat up the air near the ground. So it could be a touch cooler on Saturday. But if those showers and storms are out of here, Could be a little bit warmer on Saturday, and will be even warmer by Sunday, 86. Just a tiny, tiny chance of a shower or thunderstorm on Sunday. But look at our temperatures here. We're continuing to see this evolution of this warm pattern continuing to evolve and stay around all the way now through that 10-day period. Yesterday, I thought, well, we might get down into the lower 70s a little bit later in the 10-day period, and it's looking less and less likely that we are going to more than likely stay at or near 80 degrees, which is going to be considerably above normal as we get further out into the 10-day by a good 5 degrees for sure. And the humidity, we're going to extend that here. Humid to very humid Saturday, going into Sunday, going into Monday, going into Tuesday. And this is relative humidity here. It's not the oppressive stuff that we see during the middle and the latter part of the summer in the July-August time frame. This will be a touch on the humid side, but enough that you might want to consider getting ready to turn on that AC. Here's that best chance of showers and thunderstorms Friday night, about a 30 to 40% coverage. And then again, as we go into Monday during the day, some showers and some thunderstorms. But we're not looking at widespread or washout category on any day over the course of the next 10 days as it looks like right now. And we could use some of those drops. August was wet. September, not wet. We're over an inch below normal now here in Madison for the month. And now we're down a half inch in Madison for the year. And with this extended period of warm temperatures, we're going to see the potential here for that continuation of drying conditions. And at 6 o'clock, I'm going to give you the latest glimpse of our drought monitor. Planning your night tonight, temperatures in the 50s. That fog building back in to southern Wisconsin. Let's track it. 4 o'clock in the morning. Visibility is between 2.5 miles and maybe 3 to 4, with the better visibilities over southwest Wisconsin. To the east over on I-94, if you have any travel Madison to Milwaukee, that could be a tough go for a couple hours tomorrow morning between 6 o'clock and approximately 10 o'clock as that fog eventually will burn off later in the morning. But nonetheless, don't be surprised if your phone has that First Warn Weather app going off for dense fog advisories for parts of southern Wisconsin as we go into Friday morning. So just give you a little extra time for work and school. 81 for high tomorrow in Madison, 81 in Janesville, mid-80s out in southwest Wisconsin, where it's likely that that fog will clear out a little bit sooner than other parts of southern Wisconsin. There's that extended pattern here of 80s by day, 60s by night, so very summer-like feeling all the way through the 10-day forecast. And that Packers forecast, this would be for this evening. It's right now cloudy up in the Lambeau Field area. Temperatures in the 60s. If you're still going to head up the road there, you got to get going pretty quickly here. But it's going to be a foggy commute on the way home, so just be prepared for that.
Yeah, they better be gone by now, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, they better be racing.
Packers gearing up, Alex, to take on those Washington Commanders tonight. The team reflects on the impact of the recently added Micah Parsons. We're going live back to Lambeau next at 5.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
Tonight, the Green and Gold will take on the Washington Commanders. The game comes just days after the Packers opened the season with a big win over the Detroit Lions. For more on how the Packers are feeling ahead of tonight's game on Amazon Prime, we go to sports director Andrew Banstra, who is live at Lambeau Field. Andrew?
In week 1, Micah Parsons made his first appearance as a Packer, and he got thrown right into the fire, being traded just a couple of days before from the Cowboys to Green Bay. And he went right in and lit up the Lions. In week 2, not only is he expected to play more, but he has more familiarity with his teammates and with his opponent, going against the Washington Commanders, a team in his old division that he's sacked more than any other team in his entire career. He got Jaden Daniels 4.5 times last season and got Jared Goff once last week, a moment that inspired both Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love.
I think he definitely has an aura about him, and just his style of play fits with our other guys. And I think all those guys are excited to play with him. And they all benefited from that.
I don't even know if he knew Michael was coming, but we all saw him. So, I was hoping that he would hold on to the ball right there, and Mike could be able to get to him and hopefully have a strip sack. But yeah, Michael was flying right there, and it just goes to show you, his motor. He's able to win late. quarterback escaped, and he's able to chase him down. So I'm glad he was able to get, his first sack here and his first start here in Lambeau. So, stuff he's going to keep building on. But, I just feel like his presence out there was different.
For Parsons and the Pack, the path to a 2-0 start is right in front of them under the lights in a primetime matchup against the Commanders. We'll have more on what they need to do to get off to that 2-0 start from our very own Jason Wilde coming up at 6. For now at Lambeau Field, Andrew Banstra, News 3 Sports.
All right, Andrew, we look forward to that report with you and Jason at 6. Thank you. And Alex will rejoin us for one final check of your first warn forecast after a short break.
With so much pulling us apart in our country right now, Janet Shamlian tells us about a program designed to bring us together.
And on this 24th anniversary of the terror attacks, I visited the 9/11 Museum to remember the people we lost and those keeping their memories alive. That's ahead on the CBS Evening News.
Well, hard to believe it's been 24 years. And coming up at 6, we'll have more on how Wisconsinites are remembering those lost on 9/11 by giving back to their community. We'll have that story and much more coming up. Top of the hour, News 3 Now at 6. Finally tonight, after 800 years of silence, a pipe organ that researchers say is the oldest in the Christian world is actually making music again. Made with original pipes from the 11th century. Wow. It's roaring back to life in a monastery in Jerusalem. Researchers believe the Crusaders first played this organ in the town of Bethlehem. After a century of use, they buried it to protect it from invading Muslim armies. The organ was rediscovered in 1906, but sat in storage for decades since, and now it's headed back to a Jerusalem museum to keep playing for generations to come. 800 years old. That's incredible artifact there. Alex is back. Final check of the forecast.
Yes, for tomorrow morning, people need to just take it a little bit easy on the road with that patchy fog that we're expecting tomorrow morning. Just slow it down. It'll burn off in a couple of hours. By the time we get to the late morning, noon hour, that fog will be out of here. And then we're going to have a warm day up to 81. Can't rule out a couple of thunderstorms Friday night going into Saturday as that muggy stuff starts to move back into southern Wisconsin. And then we're staying in the 80s pretty much through the entire 10-day period. Can't rule out a 90 this weekend. And at 6, we'll talk more about drought and our chances of it.
All right, Alex, thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. We're back in 30 minutes for News 3 Now at 6. CBS Evening News is next. You can always find us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000+.